June 2019. First, Nashville, Tennessee, then Charlotte, North Carolina. We're actually on our way to Maine, but we decided to make Nashville our first rest stop. We like Nashville, and besides, this gives us another opportunity to visit Janet's sister, Megan. First stop is a winery that we really enjoyed last time we were here. The winery sits on a hill and has beautiful views of the vineyards around it. The walk up can be a little tiring, although you do have the options to take a tram. We, of course, chose to walk. Our next stop was something new, a place called the Hermitage. The Hermitage was the home of President Andrew Jackson. This plantation sits about 10 miles east of Nashville, and since it was so close, it gave us the opportunity to visit it. We got a chance to see his home and how he lived, as well as seeing how his slaves lived. Since the plantation is very large, we thought a horse and carriage ride throughout the property was the best way to see as much of it as we could. The carriage ride made several stops, and we were allowed out to explore some of the more interesting parts of the property. We also took some time to explore the gardens that are now maintained by the foundation that takes care of this historical site. The next point of interest that we really wanted to see was the Parthenon in downtown Nashville. This building is a full-scale copy of the original Parthenon of Athens. We don't know when we're going to get to Athens, and we will. I'm looking forward to comparing this one with the original. The next day, it was back with Megan, and we continue our exploration of all the local wineries. Yes, we really like wine. So just to throw all of you off, our next stop was to explore a distillery instead of a winery. As you walked into the distillery, you were greeted by this ginormous antler chandelier. This place really likes chandeliers, because inside, another ginormous chandelier, but made out of crystal. The gentleman that conducted this tour had been at this distillery forever, and he knew a lot about how to make some really good whiskey, and shared as much as he knew with all of us. This was a really great tour, and it ended with a tasting of the whiskeys that they make right there on the premises. And although they were all really good, I'd have to say that my favorite was the bourbon, although Janet liked the white whiskey a whole lot more. Before we left, we walked through the store and purchased a couple of bottles of these fine whiskeys to go, because it was, again, time to go. So with our liquor cabinet restocked, we're on our way to Charlotte, North Carolina. After a quick stop on Lake Norman, we went to Richard's Coffee Shop. Richard's Coffee Shop is a veteran hangout. They get together and just have impromptu jam sessions while drinking their coffee. We like it there. While in Charlotte, my sister Chrissy and her husband Andre also happened to be there, and it was nice to get together with them. As Chrissy and Andre left, Russ showed up. We introduced him to some of our friends from when we used to live there, and together we enjoyed several bottles of wine. After resting and refueling in both Nashville and Charlotte, it was time again for us to make our way and try to get to Maine. It's a long way to Maine, and we have several stops to make before we get there, so it's time to get moving.